Coming up on the Danny Mac podcast today, former NFL head coach Herm Edwards talks about his favorite Thanksgiving Day memories. And is it possible for a first year quarterback to be broken for life in his first year? Herm has thoughts on that. I'm brought to you, as always, by the Same Game Parlay at Bet Rivers. Here's what you do: pick two or more parlay bets. You can pick them, you can customize them in the same game. And if you hit, you can earn squares that are worth profit boosts, bonus bets, and jackpots of up to $10,000. It's the Same Game Parlay. Pick two or more from the same game and increase your chances to prosper.
You're now watching the Danny Mac podcast on the Bet Rivers Network.
It's the Bears and Lions Thanksgiving at Ford Field, and Herm Edwards has joined me to talk about the Bears, where they're at, where they're going. Herm, thank you for the time. Since we talked a month or so ago, things have not really gotten a whole lot better for the Bears, but under the new offensive coordinator, Thomas Brown, Caleb Williams has looked a little bit more relaxed these past couple of weeks. What changes have you seen in Williams that you like?
I think the game has slowed down for him. There's no doubt about that. He looks a lot better than he did about after the third game of the season. He hit this. I don't know what he hit. He had a bad string of games, and just I thought he was pressing. It's a shame they didn't win last week because they played good enough for them to win. And he did some things when he left the pocket, some throws where you go, whoa, okay. And look, this is the quarterback of the Bears. If you're a Bear fan, don't get excited. Don't throw your hands up. I was in studio yesterday, and I said, before the end of the season, I want to do a segment on all the rookie quarterbacks and just put their numbers up. Interceptions, touchdowns, wins and losses, what type of team they have been on. And it's pretty close even right now. Jaden had taken this big lead being that rookie quarterback, and the bar was so high. Everybody was saying, well, we don't have Jaden. Well, all of a sudden, Jaden's kind of come down a little bit. And all of a sudden, some other guys have kind of gotten a little bit better. And so that's the fun of it for me when I watch these young guys play.
Mm-hmm. Who of the five who are getting regular opportunities have surprised you the most?
Probably Drake May. And I was in the belief when they didn't start him. I said, what are you waiting on? Start him. He's your first pick. That's who you wanted. They started the veteran guy. Eventually you're going to get to him. And now they finally made that move and they got to him. And I'm like, that's 5 games he could have had under his belt already. Same thing with, when you look at the Colts situation. I get that Joe Flacco was that guy for 2 weeks. My big deal with that was, okay, Joe Flacco's a starter. Now I get it. Richardson, he tapped out. You're going to punish him for that. But don't punish the team. Don't punish his progress. If Joe Flacco's a starter, build in 15 plays for him where he can go in and still play because he needs reps. And sometimes we're worried about that, but we're not worried when we draft them. Mm-hmm. But now all of a sudden when they got to play and the score counts, we get worried. We can't get worried. You got to go play them, and you got to live with the consequences. Everybody knows you're starting a rookie quarterback. But if you look at the progression of these guys, they've all gotten better. Levis has gotten better. Caleb's gotten better. Bo Nix, I watch him every week, and I'm going, the trajectory of these guys is headed in the right direction.
Let's talk a little bit about the change in coordinators. It makes you wonder why this happened to begin with. How in the world you decided you're laughing, Coach? How in the world you let a guy like Cliff Kingsbury go to the Commanders and you hired Shane Waldron? And I hate to be mean about it, but from the first few times we heard Shane Waldron speak, we said, this can't be the guy. This guy can't stand in a room full of men and lead them. And sure enough, we were proven right. And the theory is Matt Eberflus didn't want to hire a guy with a strong personality. He felt threatened. Well, I hope that's not true.
I hope it's not true either because I know Cliff. Cliff actually played for me when I was with the Jets. So we go way back. He was one of those quarterbacks I brought in when I had to play 5 of them. So you can imagine how our season went. And that's when I first met him. But Cliff's a unique guy in this sense. Washington, it connected the coordinator with the quarterback. Because when you think about Cliff's experience with quarterbacks, whether he played the position obviously in college, Coach Kyler Murray, Kyler Murray goes to Arizona. I'm at Arizona State when Jaden is playing for me. He saw Jaden play every Saturday. So he goes to Washington, and guess what? Washington, they go, we're going to draft Jaden Daniels. I went, that'll be a fit. They'll figure that out real fast. And that's really it. I've always said this, coordinators have systems, but if your system is not flexible enough to be versatile for the players that you have, then your system is flawed, in my opinion. And your system can't be bigger than the player. Your system has to be good enough to go, I have this type of quarterback now. These are the things he can do. This is what I'm going to do now. This is how this is how the system is going to work. And so I think he's found a path now, Caleb. He's been humbled some, which is a good thing. And he fought through it. He got through that. And that's hard. I mean, you can imagine the pressure. You're the first player picked. You're looking down the road, and this Jaden Daniels guy is his third quarterback pick or the second quarterback pick, and he's lighting it up, and everybody's looking at, well, what's wrong with you, right? He's dealing with all that. Won the Heisman Trophy. He's dealing with all that. And so I think mentally he got through that part, and you could see it now the way he's playing.
Did he need a humbling?
They all need it. They all need it. You kidding me? The NFL humbles you. See, what I tell guys when they go to the NFL, I remember this when I was a coach. I say, let me tell you something. I said, guys, these guys don't graduate. You got to take their job. In college, they graduate. You come into college, you go, oh, that guy's a junior. Okay, my sophomore year, I'll be playing. He's going to leave. Huh? No. These guys don't graduate. You got to cut them. Grown man over there. Got a wife, got 3 kids. This is how he makes his living. You think he's worried about you coming in here? You got to take this guy's job. And that's the difference.
There are only 32 of these head coaching jobs in the league, in the world. I'm reluctant to say any one of them isn't incredibly special, but the bloom is off the rose in Chicago. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Sure. Herm, when was the last time the Bears' job was looked at in your fraternity as special?
I think, first of all, and you said it, I think all of them are special in this sense. There's only 32 of them. Some are more difficult when you enter that job than others, according to what has happened. The New York Giants, one of the stable organizations in the National Football League, they need to be relevant. Chicago Bears, historically, they need to be relevant. There's teams in this league that have to be relevant. If you know the history of the National Football League. And I studied the history when I came in the league in 1977 as a rookie. I watched it as a young kid. Okay, and you're watching, you see these teams and you're going, that team's always kind of good. And that there's staples. There's certain staples in the league. They got to be competitive, okay? Those are just 2 that I'm naming. There's a few others. Even the team with the star when Jerry took over, right? And it was the Dallas Cowboys. We get it, but they need to be relevant. Here's another one. The guys that played with the patch on their eye. The Oakland Raiders, the big bad Oakland Raiders back in the day. They need to be, because they were the bullies of the league. They were like the bad guys. You hid your children when the Raiders came to town because it's the Raiders coming to town. When you go back to those days, right? And so all these teams were relevant. When I was growing up, I was watching these teams. I was going, man, look at these guys, right? Well, when they're not, it's like, they got to get this fixed. It'll get fixed.
We've been saying that for a long time.
I believe it. You got a quarterback. You got the main guy now. You got the quarterback. Now you got to build around the guy.
Do you believe, and you've already indicated you think there's been some real turnaround these last few weeks. Is it possible for a first-year quarterback, Williams or anybody else, to be broken for life by a bad rookie experience?
I'm hoping that's not the case. Historically, has it happened to a few guys? Probably has. It didn't happen to Peyton Manning when he threw 28 interceptions. Right? I mean, you go back. I mean, Troy Aikman, yeah, he won game. He won one.
Mm-hmm.
You can go back. I mean, we're both of the age that we get it. We've seen it all. I mean, I watched it like, hey, man, some of these quarterbacks that hadn't played good, that were first round picks, one in Tampa, Baker Mayfield. He kind of found his way, right? I mean, Kirk Cousins. Oh, he kind of found his way. Jared Goff. Jared Goff. We'll get him out of here. Okay, send him to Detroit. They make good cars up there. Oh, and they get to play on Thanksgiving Day because they were the only team to rolls their hands and says, "Yeah, we'll play on Thanksgiving because we want people to see our team because we don't win a lot anyway. They ain't got to worry about that anymore." They kind of figured that out. So you watch it unfold and you go, sometimes quarterbacks, the first shot at it, it's not good. They got to go somewhere else and they find their way.
Detroit has never been to a Super Bowl. And boy, you talk about a fan base that's been starved. It's like Detroit, Cleveland, the Jets fans are still waiting for somebody to break Namath's single season record he set in 67. Or what keeps Detroit from getting to the game with Roman numerals on it? What's their Achilles heel?
Oh, I don't know if they have Achilles heel. I think they'll face the Eagles. That's who they'll face, I think, in the championship game at the end. Both quarterbacks have been in Super Bowls. That's a good thing for both organizations. I think the Eagles have felt playoff pressure a little bit more than Detroit because they've been in that situation the last 3 or 4 years, And I say this about teams that continue to get in the playoff mode and make playoff runs, and you see it. I'm watching these teams right now. Kansas City Chiefs. They play probably 5 to 7 more games than everybody else during the season. It catches up to you when you go, you repeat it over and over and over. You get weary, you get tired, you get fatigued. San Francisco 49ers, they're beat up some, right? Now they're hurt. Didn't have any injuries last year. Now they're hurt. They play some extra games. So I just think these teams hit that lull of the fact that, hey, we're going to play in 3 years. We played already 7 more games and they're high-level games. When the games we're talking about, when you get in the playoffs, this is the best versus the best. And so I think when you look at Detroit, they are the most complete team. There's no doubt about that. And they're going to face a team, the Philadelphia Eagles, that have gotten better. And why have they gotten better? Because the Giants decided, this guy, you go down the road, we'll pay your cab fare. You go down there and play for the Eagles. The guy's going to run for 2,000 yards. There's only been 8 runners in the history of the National Football League to run for 2,000 yards. And he actually was playing for the Giants. Mm-hmm. And now he's playing for the Philadelphia Eagles, who you got to see twice. Mm-hmm. Every time I see it, I just smile. I go, you got it.
I want to share for Bears fans who need a little something to make them feel good heading into Thanksgiving. One of my favorite Thanksgiving memories in the series when they were in Detroit. But I have to ask you, your career as a player or as a coach, which Thanksgiving Day date has the most lasting memory for you, Herm?
Here. This one for me, in the fact that growing up, you watched these Thanksgiving Day games. We never played in one when I was with the Eagles, but I got to coach in one when I was with the Chiefs. And it was like, wow. It was a big deal. Because if you follow football as long as I follow football, I go, hey, you've been Thanksgiving Day, man. I mean, I remember watching, there's certain things you watched on television growing up and you go, oh, I finally get it on the Thanksgiving Day game, right? And so there are always special games. I think if you've been a football fan, now they got 3 of them on. I mean, it's like, whoa, Detroit used to be the team that was always on Thanksgiving Day, and they would always be the spoiler. Seemed like they'd always play good on Thanksgiving Day and beat somebody. That's their game, man. That's their day, right?
Yeah.
Now Detroit's on television every week. They're on national television. No, wait. But it's a fun game because it's like the Christmas Day game now, right? It's become a part of our history as football fans. That we're going to have some turkey, and there's going to be a football game on, and we're going to enjoy this.
I want to take you to 1977, Walter
Sure.
Payton's only MVP year. This is 4 days after he set the record against the Vikings with 275 yards, and they wanted to, it would have been malpractice to work him too hard, but their offense wasn't going very well. And the Jumbotron operator at the old Silverdome flashed the sign Walter Who on the scoreboard. And Peyton with that high-pitched voice of Walt's running up and down. You see that? I'll show him, Walt, who I'll show him. He came out and the Bears went to the locker room trailing 7-0. They beat him 31-14. He had more than 100 yards rushing, more than 100 yards receiving, and he showed him who Walter was. And it's just that's all-time one of my favorite Peyton stories, and a guy who passed away now is 25 years ago this month, Herm. And man, I miss that man.
You talk about a great player, just a great human being. I can remember first time we played the Bears and Walter was there, and there's a big pile, and all of a sudden they tackled him, and guys are going wow, and they're jumping out of the pile. I'm going, what's going on? And Walter's at the bottom of this, and when you used to tackle him, he would pinch you. He would pinch the players.
Yes,
and he would. Some of our guys, and they were jumping up, and he's down there laughing. I said, what's going on, guys? He said, man, I got pinched. And Walter gets up and he's just smiling and laughing. I say, he's pinching guy at the bottom of the pile.
It's unbelievable. Herm, a pleasure to catch up as always. Have a great Thanksgiving, and thank you for the time today.
You too, my friend. It's always good to be with you. Thank you.
Herm Edwards does a great job analyzing pro football and was a heck of a player as well as a coach. And I want to thank Randy Merkin, who gets me all of my A-list guests for the Danny Mac podcast. Sam Michael is our executive producer. We're assisted in social media by Troy Mocker and Alex Pastor. Enjoy the Bears and Lions, and I'll have a post-game edition early Friday with former Lions tackle Lomas Brown, who does their radio work. Have a great day. I'm Dan MacNeil.